So when we are talking math, there is special words. So there's special vocabularies for special things. And the vocabularies, equations and expressions. These are vocabularies that kind of, they look the same, but they are different, okay? So an expression is in English, if I'm gonna look at it as an English sentence or as an English word, it's a phrase, okay? So an expression is a phrase. However, an equation is similar to a sentence, okay? So there's difference between the two. When I say an equation, I'm talking about something that has an equal sign in it. So where I have a left side and a right side with an equal in the middle. Okay? So for example, if I say 3x plus 5 equals to 2, that is called an equation. Okay? And that word equation comes from the equal sign because there is an equal sign in there. Okay? However, an expression would be like this: 3x plus 5. That's an expression. The other one is an equation. You can solve an equation, so that means you can isolate for x or for your variable, okay? But an expression you can't isolate for because there's no way I can move things. There's no other side. It's only one side, okay? There is no way, I don't have that equal sign so I can move my stuff to the other side. The only thing you can do for an expression is you can evaluate the expression, okay? So I can tell you if x equals to 1, what is that expression equal to? Okay, so I'm giving you a value for x. So you can plug in that value of x in and then find the answer. So if x equals to 1, then 3 times 1 plus 5 is 8. Okay, if x equals 2, 3 times 2 plus 5, so that's 11. Okay, so we're evaluating here. Okay, in this case, we are solving. So this is solving. So finding what value of x will satisfy the equation. This one is just a matter of evaluating if I give you a value for x. So let's look at these two different examples of a sentence and a phrase. Okay? So 10 is 5 less than a number. How can I write this as a mathematical equation? 10 is 5 less than a number. X minus 5 equals 10. Okay, so let's write. But let's write it, if I want to exactly take this, 10 is. How can I translate is into math? Equals. The word is means equal. Okay? 10 is, so 10 equal. 5 less than a number. What's the number? Any number. X. I don't know what the number is. So 10 is 5 less than that number. So that's going to be x minus 5. So my number and 5 less than that number. Okay? What's 5 less than 15? What's 5 less than 20? What's 5 less than 13? So what are we doing here? 5 less than a number, right? Whatever that number is. If the number is 20, then I do 20 take away 5. If the number is 10, I do 10 take away 5. If the number is 15, I do 15 take away 5. Right? That's what 5 less than a number means. Are we okay with that? This is probably the hardest part. We don't do that too often in grade 11. Okay? We don't do much of this, but it's something that you should know from previous years. Okay? Where you're translating English into math. How would I write the next one? 5 plus x equals 7 or x plus 5 equals 7, that means the same thing, right? That's the same thing. 5 more than a number. So a number is x plus 5 is, okay? You're welcome. Now, in a phrase, I don't have that is part. Okay? So you see that a number less than 5. A number less than 5.
Any number. He's 6, so we can use that as a value.
Perfect, thank you.
Do you need a table?
For now, I'm okay. I might need one later. Yeah. So, a number less than 5, how would you write that? Five minus x. A number, which is x. Anytime they say a number, which you don't know what it is, it's going to be x. Okay? Less than 5. So you're starting with 5 and you're taking away a number from it. Now the second one is 5 less than a number. X minus 5. And these two are not the same, right? 5 minus x and x minus 5, they're not the same. So you have to be careful. Again, we don't do that a lot, or I don't think we do it at all in grade 11, but it's things that you need to know in general. So as an equation, I can solve, right? Remember I said that earlier. So as an equation, you can solve the equation. And to solve the equation, you rearrange the equation to isolate for x. Okay? So if I want to isolate for x here, let's take the first example. So I have 10 equal x minus 5. How do I isolate for x? What do I do? Move the negative 5 over, it becomes positive 5, right? So that's 10 plus 5 equals x. So x equals to 15. I found the value of x that satisfies this equation by doing opposite operation. Anyone have any questions about this part? You'll probably do more of this than anything else, solving. How about the second equation? So I have x plus 5 equal to 7. How would I solve for that x? Move 5 over to the other side, and what does it become? Negative 5. So you're subtracting 5. Because the opposite operation of addition is subtraction, right? When I move a positive 5 to the other side, it becomes a negative 5 or a minus 5. So the answer here, x equals 2, and that is the number that satisfies my equation. Are we okay with that? However, for the expression, there is no way that I can move things around, as I said earlier, so they must give me a value for me to be able to evaluate. So I'm going to say here, let x equal 2. Okay? So for the first expression, 5 minus x, you're going to evaluate it if x equals to 2. This value, I usually give it to you, or you have to, if you're doing a table of value, you're going to pick that value. But in this case, I gave it to you. So all what you have to do is you have to substitute x with a 2, and that's going to be equal to 3. And if I want to evaluate the second expression, x minus 5, I'm evaluating if x equals to 2, so 2 minus 5, that equals to negative 3. Are we okay with that? Okay, so if x equals to 2 and y equals to 3, evaluate. What do we call these? Equations or expressions? Expressions, because there's no equal sign. Excellent. And I'm asked to evaluate. So to evaluate, I need to plug in the value of x and the value of y in the corresponding spot. So how would I write this? 2 times 2 plus 3. Okay, but math says I have to do the 2 times 2 first. So that is 4 plus 3. So that's 7. Second one. So you put an equal sign at the beginning of each expression. So equals 3. Then replace x with a 2. So that's 2 squared minus 3. What must I do first here? The exponent. So I have to do the 2 squared first. Okay? I can't multiply the 3 by the 2 first. It's not correct because then you're squaring 6 instead of squaring 2. So in this case, I have to square the 2 first, which is 3 times 4 minus 3. And that gives you 12. Take away 3, which is 9. Are we okay with this? Okay. And you have y squared minus x squared. So same idea. I'm going to replace y with 3 and x with 2. So that is 9. Take away 4, which is 5. Any questions? Okay, how long does it take to travel to New York City, which is 860 kilometers away? If you are traveling an average speed of 110 kilometers per hour, use T for time and D for distance and S for speed, and then your formula is T equals D over S. So how do I get to solve this question? What do I know? I know the distance, which is D. Yeah. So D equals 860 kilometers. What else do I know? Speed, which is S equals 110 kilometers per hour. And that's a matter of just plugging it in. Right? Plug in the D and the S to find T. The question is asking you how long, which means time. So what do you get when you do 860 divided by 110? 7.8. So what's the unit for that? Hours. Now I'm going to you asked me how long did it take you to go to New York. Um, I'm asking, or you asked me how long did it take you to get to New York, right? And I say 7.8 hours. What does that mean to you guys?
8 hours.
Almost 8 hours, but how much exactly? How long exactly did it take me?
7 hours and 30 some odd minutes.
And how can you find that 30 somewhat minutes? How much is it exactly?
You gotta take an hour, right? And then after you gotta put it over 100 or something like that.
How many minutes in an hour? 60 minutes.
Okay.
Right? So you have to convert that 0.8 of an hour in 2 minutes. Because if I come and say it took me 7.8 hours, you're going to be like, okay, so it's almost 8 hours, but how long is it? Right? So 1 hour is how many minutes? Sorry, 60.
7 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay, and how do you do that? What do you do? So you have 0.8 of an hour. How can you convert that to minutes? Multiply by 60, right? And then divide by 1, right? So basically this is what we do. This is basically the steps that we do. We multiply by the 60. And then we divide by the 1. Okay? So the way I set it up, I'm a visual person and I like to set up things in a specific manner. Even like whenever I'm solving, I have to set it up. Okay? So what I do is I first look at my conversion. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. Okay? I know that I have 0.8 of an hour. So for me to be able to do that, I have to put the hours under the hours. Okay? 0.8 of an hour is going to go right under the hours. And then I'm looking for the minutes. So to solve this, I learned this maybe in grade 2 or 3, and I still use it now and I teach it to my students because I remember. Okay? So how do I solve it is you multiply across, so the two numbers that you have, you multiply them, and then you divide by the third number. Okay? So what we're doing is we're doing 0.8 times 60 divided by 1. What's 0.8 times 60 divided by 1? What do you guys get? 48. So how long did it take you to get to New York? 7 hours and 48 minutes. Therefore, it took 7 hours and 48 minutes to travel to New York. I'll get back to this just 1 second.